there's no surprise. Tristan Wirfs moving to left tackle has been in the works since then, unless they came away with a highly regarded left tackle in the draft. That was going to be the plan. And now you're going to have Luke Goedeke or Matt Filer or Brandon Walton vying for the right tackle job. And maybe there'll be another tackle candidate in the mix. As Jason Licht is famous for saying, we're not playing tomorrow. Yeah. Still have plenty of time. There will be players released, too, after the draft. We've seen that. After June 1, there'll be players released. Remember, this is a Buccaneer team that claimed the likes of Carl Nassib off of waivers right before the start of the season in 2018. They signed Leonard Fournette.
Yep, that was the one I was thinking of.
Week or two prior to the 2020 season. So the Bucs roster is far from being set. We're going to go over all of the positions after we kind of go through the draft picks here, Matt. But your thoughts on this? I'm not going to doubt Tristan Wirfs making the switch to left tackle. He's too good of an athlete. Give him a shot to see if he can do it before you say he can't, right?
Yeah, it was funny. One of the first things I was thinking of is when you look at the depth on the interior offensive line for the Bucs with Cody Mock, who they just drafted, Aaron Stinney, Robert Hainsey. You go down the list. Because it's such like a battle royale for who's going to be on the interior offensive line, unfortunately, one of these guys might not make the team. And I remember saying to Josh Capo or someone at Pewter Report, I was like, man, some team is really going to benefit from finding a really nice offensive guard that the Bucs had to cut just based on the numbers game with the roster. And I was thinking it before they drafted Trey Palmer. Well, on the flip side, the Bucs could find a better than average wide receiver that another team has too many of. So that's just the name of the game there. Tristan Wirfs, when it comes to offensive tackle, Tristan, I don't want to say gave it away because we kind of already knew this, but he confirmed that he's been practicing both on the left side and the right side of the offensive line at tackle. And, you know, these were things that we were talking about in the middle of last season of, should they move Tristan Wirfs to left tackle and move Donovan Smith to right tackle? No, that was more fan questions. That was more of a pipe dream. You can't do that in the middle of the season unless you are in absolutely dire straits, which the offensive line, not great, but to say they were in dire straits just would not be true. Yeah. There is always the risk of moving a great player from one side to the other. And I understand there are differences. The correlation is it's like going to Europe and driving on the other side of the road. There definitely is an adjustment, but it's also not rocket science. Okay. Wide receivers line up on the right and left side of scrimmage. Cornerbacks go on the right and left side. Tight ends line up on both sides of the offensive line. There's definitely going to be an adjustment, but if anyone can figure it out and handle it, I think it's Tristan Wirfs. My question really is, with right tackle now, with Luke Goedeke, like how much confidence do the Bucs have? And Jason Licht talked about the possibility, something that they're floating, of Luke Goedeke moving to right tackle. Are we putting too much stock into having one solid game against the Atlanta Falcons? Because they didn't address tackle at all in the draft. And sure, they could find someone else. Matt Filer played offensive tackle, but he's been a guard the past couple of seasons, so that's a bit of a transition too. I'm not as concerned about Tristan moving to left tackle. I think that's a good idea because he's a stud player. In worst case scenario, you just go back to the right side. But for the time being, you still can't have a crappy right tackle because that can sink the ship just as much.
Oh, yeah. It used to be back in the day, you know, the team's premier pass rusher was on the right side going up against the left tackle. That blind side, hit on the quarterback, that was key. But now look at the left, the left edge rushers, if you will. Yeah. TJ Watt lines up on the left side. Nick Bosa lines up on the left side. So there's plenty of danger on both sides. You're right, Matt. You need a good offensive tackle at left and right.
Doesn't matter where.
It really doesn't matter where. So that's the news. Good news is they've got some time to figure it out.